Have you ever wondered what truly defines a happy and fulfilling life as you grow older? Do you find yourself caught up in daily worries, comparing your journey to others, or feeling overwhelmed by the responsibilities of supporting your family? In this video, we delve deep into the essential factors that enhance the quality of life in old age, from embracing the Pareto principle to fostering independence and achieving financial stability. Stay with us until the end to uncover practical strategies that will help you simplify your life, focus on what truly matters, and enjoy a peaceful and meaningful retirement. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. As we journey through life, one of the most profound realizations we can make, especially in old age, is the importance of letting go of what doesn't truly matter and focusing wholeheartedly on what is valuable. It sounds simple, yet how often do we find ourselves weighed down by the little things, those minor, insignificant worries that consume our time and energy? The truth is that many of the things we stress about are not as important as we make them out to be, and this realization becomes even more critical as we grow older. There's a timeless principle known as the Pareto principle, or the 80/20 rule, introduced by the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. It's a principle that, once understood, can change the way we live, especially in our golden years. The Pareto principle suggests that 80% of our results stem from just 20% of our efforts. This means that much of what we do and worry about in life is secondary, almost trivial, and only a small portion truly shapes the quality of our lives. And think about it, whether it's at work, where a mere 20% of tasks led to 80% of the results, or in relationships, where just a few close friends provide the deep, meaningful connections we all crave. The rest, often they're just background noise. When we apply this to aging, it becomes even more poignant. Our minds and bodies aren't as sharp or resilient as they once were, and constantly fretting over every little detail of life is not only exhausting but utterly draining. It steals our joy, our peace, and the precious time we have left. As we approach retirement and the later stages of life, it's essential to learn how to focus on the truly important 20%, those meaningful activities, relationships, and passions that fill our hearts and souls. And we must be brave enough to let go of the 80% that only clutters our lives with unnecessary stress. This is not just about living longer, but living well, with purpose and fulfillment. One of the most fascinating examples of this principle can be found in the natural world. In an ant colony, it's been observed that 20% of the ants do 80% of the work, supplying food and resources for the entire colony. The rest of the ants are far less active, some not working at all. But here's the twist: when the hard-working ants tire out and collapse, the previously inactive ants step up and take over. The cycle continues, ensuring that the essential 20% is always hard at work, maintaining balance in the colony. So what does this tell us about life? It's that focusing on the most meaningful aspects doesn't mean we're neglecting everything as it means. We're prioritizing what truly matters. In our later years, we have to make peace with the fact that we can't do it all. And that's okay. Letting go of the trivial 80% is not giving up, it's making room for the peace, joy, and fulfillment we deserve in our remaining years. It's not just a strategy for success, it's a mindset for living a happier, more intentional life. So, as we age, let's learn to focus on what truly fills us with purpose and let go of the things that drain us unnecessarily. After all, life is too precious to be spent on anything less. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The lesson we can draw from this powerful observation is that no matter how much effort other ants or humans put into the less important aspects of life, the essential 80/20 ratio remains constant. This teaches us a valuable truth. In both the animal kingdom and in human existence, a small percentage of our actions and habits determine the vast majority of our happiness and well-being. As we age, this realization becomes even more critical. In human life, things like diet, sleep, mental health, and passions may seem like just small parts of our daily routine, but they are, in fact, the pillars that determine the overall quality of our lives. When we learn to embrace the vital 20%, the truly significant elements, and let go of the forgettable 80%, we unlock the secret to a fulfilling and peaceful life. As we reflect on our journey, we come to realize that many of the things we once chased, luxurious restaurants, flashy cars, and lavish homes, do not bring lasting happiness. These are the 80% of things that, in the grand scheme, can be forgotten without affecting our joy or peace. So, what are the 20% of things worth holding on to? They are the simple, meaningful moments that fill our hearts with warmth. Sharing warm meals with family creates bonds and memories that are far more valuable than any material possession. Physical health, which allows us the freedom to move without pain, to walk, and to climb stairs, small actions that we often take for granted but become priceless as we age. Listening to your favorite music or reading a cherished book, moments of personal joy that nourish the soul. Quiet spaces where peace and reflection offer a sanctuary from the noise of the world. These seemingly simple things make up 80% of your true happiness in life. After the age of 60, it's time to focus on these essential elements. It's time to let go of what doesn't serve you, those societal pressures and superficial desires, and simplify your life. Instead of endlessly chasing after wealth or trying to keep up with social trends, prioritize what truly matters. Pay attention to your health, spend time with those you love, and reward yourself with the joy that comes from simple pleasures. In old age, life becomes a process of distillation, stripping away the unnecessary and honing in on what is truly valuable. This is not a sacrifice, but a liberation. When we choose to focus our mind and energy on the things that matter most, we give ourselves the gift of peace, contentment, and lasting happiness. After all, the most meaningful moments in life are not found in the excess, but in the precious, intimate 20% that we carry with us through the years. Letting go of unnecessary worries is one of the most liberating things we can do, especially as we age. Emotional fatigue often stems from holding on too tightly to things that ultimately don't matter. By releasing the 80% of unimportant things that weigh us down, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and invite a sense of lightness and peace into our lives. Whether it's someone speaking ill of us, a painful breakup, or not being able to afford something we want, these are all fleeting troubles. They don't deserve the space we often give them in our hearts and minds. The philosopher Seneca once said, "We cannot completely control life, but we can choose what to value." This wisdom resonates deeply as we enter the later stages of life. It reminds us that the true art of living is about knowing what to hold on to and what to release. Only when we master the ability to let go of the trivial can we focus on what truly matters, the things that bring genuine meaning and fulfillment. The Pareto principle, often seen as an economic or sociological law, becomes more than that in our later years. It becomes a guiding philosophy for living a simpler, more peaceful life after retirement. By focusing on the essential 20%, the clutter of life fades away, and we are left with what brings us joy and serenity. As we reach 60 and beyond, the measure of a fulfilling life is not found in wealth or the number of people we know. True happiness and peace come from doing what we love, surrounded by those who matter most to us. When we let go of 80% of life's distractions and stressors, the remaining 20%, the moments, passions, and people that truly matter, shine brighter. It's like finding a lighthouse in the fog, a beacon that guides us to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. The second key to a peaceful old age is learning that comparing yourself to others is a surefire path to unhappiness. By the time we reach our 50s, we should be preparing for a life free from the unnecessary burdens of competition and comparison. It's all too easy to fall into the trap of looking at others and feeling as though we've somehow failed. We see our peers living in luxurious homes, owning expensive cars, or receiving substantial pensions, and we ask ourselves, what did I do wrong? Why don't I have that? These comparisons not only lead to feelings of inadequacy, but also foster resentment toward society, the systems we live in, and even our own choices. Some people, in a desperate attempt to catch up, may make risky investments or throw themselves into new business ventures in hopes of recapturing what they feel they've lost. But the truth is, by the time we reach 50, life is no longer about planting new seeds. It's the time to reap the harvest of all that we've sown throughout the years. Of course, it's never too late to try new things or embrace fresh challenges, but we must do so with the understanding that failure at this stage in life carries a heavy weight. Unlike in our younger years, we may not have the same time or energy to bounce back as easily from a setback. So, instead of comparing ourselves to others and chasing after what we think we should have, we should focus on appreciating the abundance we've already cultivated. Life after 50 is a time of reflection, a season for enjoying the fruits of our labor and a chance to savor the simple, quiet moments that bring true contentment. By letting go of the endless pursuit of what others have, we open ourselves to the possibility of living in the present and finding peace in our unique journey. In this season of life, it's not about accumulating more, but about finding deeper joy in less. Letting go of unnecessary worries is one of the most empowering and transformative things we can do, especially as we grow older. Emotional fatigue, the kind that leaves us feeling drained and overwhelmed, often comes from holding on too tightly to things that don't matter in the grand scheme of life. We spend so much of our time and energy worrying about things beyond our control, other people's opinions, past mistakes, and material desires. But as we age, it becomes clearer that many of these things only add weight to our emotional and mental load, keeping us from living fully and peacefully. The moment we learn to release 80% of life's distractions, our minds become lighter, and we create more space for joy, peace, and fulfillment. We think about it. How many times have you let someone's criticism ruin your day? How often have you let a breakup or financial setback linger in your heart, making you feel less than worthy? These are all temporary troubles that, although painful at the moment, are fleeting. They don't define who we are, and they certainly shouldn't rob us of our peace. The philosopher Seneca wisely said, "We cannot completely control life, but we can choose what to value." This simple yet profound truth is the key to living a life of meaning. It's not about what happens to us, but how we respond and what we choose to hold on to. Learning to let go of the unimportant, of the things that weigh us down, is the first step toward living a meaningful, fulfilling life. As we approach retirement, the Pareto principle, also known as the 80/20 rule, becomes not just a theory, but a life philosophy. This principle, which states that 80% of our outcomes stem from 20% of our efforts, teaches us that most of what we stress over is not worth our time. The majority of our worries, tasks, and concerns, those endless to-do lists and the pressure to keep up with societal expectations, are part of the unnecessary 80%. They are distractions, noise that can easily be let go without impacting the quality of our lives. The 20%, however, represents what is truly valuable: our health, our relationships, our passions, and our peace of mind. This isn't just about success. It's about how we choose to live after 60. It's about reclaiming simplicity and focusing on the things that bring true joy. Luxurious restaurants, expensive cars, and lavish homes, while nice, don't provide lasting happiness. These are the 80% of things that can be forgotten. What's worth keeping is much simpler. Sharing warm meals with family. There's nothing quite like gathering around a table with those you love, sharing stories, laughter, and good food. It's not about the cost of the meal or the fancy restaurant. It's about the connection, the love, and the memories made. Maintaining physical health. Being able to walk without pain, to climb stairs, to enjoy life without being held back by physical limitations. This is priceless. It's something we often take for granted when we're younger, but becomes one of the greatest gifts as we age. If you're listening to your favorite music or reading a cherished book, these small pleasures may seem insignificant, but they bring immense joy and comfort. And they allow us to escape, to reflect, and to feel connected to something greater than ourselves. Finding peace in quiet spaces. In a world that is constantly buzzing with activity and noise, finding a place of stillness is like finding a hidden gem. Whether it's a quiet morning on the porch or an afternoon spent in nature, these moments of solitude allow us to recharge and reconnect with our inner selves. These simple, often overlooked things create 80% of our true happiness. After 60, life becomes more about quality than quantity. It's about focusing on the truly important 20% that brings us joy and peace. When we embrace this mindset, we begin to see life in a whole new light. It's not about accumulation or achievement anymore. It's about savoring the moments, the people and the experiences that truly matter. The second key to finding peace in old age is to understand that comparing yourself to others is a direct path to unhappiness. In our 50s, we are often preparing for retirement, and it's easy to look around and feel like we're not measuring up. We see others who seem to have it all: big houses, fancy cars, significant pensions, and we start to wonder, what have I been doing all this time? Why don't I have that? These thoughts are not only damaging to our self-esteem, but also to our overall well-being. It's a natural human tendency to compare, but it's also one of the most toxic habits we can develop. When we measure our worth by what others have, we lose sight of the unique beauty and success in our own lives. Perhaps your peers have a 200 million yen house. But what does that mean? Does it bring them happiness, or is it just another material possession that they are now responsible for maintaining? The truth is, comparing your life to someone else's will never bring you peace. It will only lead to feelings of inadequacy, frustration and resentment towards society, toward the systems that seem unfair, and even toward yourself for the choices you've made. Worse still, some people, to catch up, make hasty and risky decisions. They may invest in ventures they don't fully understand, or they may start businesses in the hope of regaining what they feel they've lost. However, life after 50 is not about starting from scratch, it's about harvesting what you've already planted. It's like the autumn of life, a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, not to sow new seeds with the hope of a quick return. There's nothing wrong with trying new things or taking on new challenges, but we must be mindful that we don't have the same time or energy to recover from failure as we did when we were younger. The reality is that at 50 and beyond, life shifts. It's not about accumulating wealth or status anymore, it's about finding peace, contentment, and joy in the present. The rush, the competition, the desire to have more, it fades. What becomes important is your health, your relationships, and your happiness. It's about knowing that you've done enough, that you are enough, and that your life, with all its twists and turns, has brought you to a place where you can finally enjoy the simple pleasures without guilt or comparison. Letting go of the need to compare is freeing. It allows you to live in the moment, to appreciate what you have, and to find joy in the small things. In the end, it's not about what others have, it's about the peace and fulfillment you find within yourself. When you stop chasing after someone else's idea of success and start focusing on your values and happiness, life becomes infinitely richer. In this stage of life, it's time to shift your focus inward, to cultivate the things that truly matter. Whether it's spending time with loved ones, taking care of your health, or simply enjoying the quiet moments, these are the things that will bring lasting happiness. Life after 50 is not about regrets or comparisons, it's about embracing what you have, letting go of what doesn't serve you, and living fully in the present moment. So, start letting go of the unnecessary 80%, and watch as the remaining 20% becomes your guiding light toward a more peaceful, joyful, and fulfilling life. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. The Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu once said, "A wise person does not look up to others, but only considers whether they have surpassed themselves from yesterday." This simple yet profound statement holds the key to living a peaceful life without being trapped in the endless cycle of competition with others. In today's world, it's so easy to fall into the trap of constantly comparing ourselves to those around us, our peers, colleagues, neighbors, or even strangers on social media. This comparison often leaves us feeling inadequate, as though we are lacking something. But when we stop measuring ourselves against others and instead focus on our personal growth, we can break free from the chains of competition and truly find contentment. When we base our sense of self-worth on how we measure up to others, we end up losing sight of what truly matters: our journey. The more we compare, the more we feel a sense of lack, as though we are always coming up short. This leads to feelings of frustration, jealousy, and dissatisfaction. But by being grateful for what we have and where we are in life, we can cultivate a sense of fulfillment that comes from within. As Lao Tzu, another great Chinese philosopher, once said, "The person with sufficient knowledge is the richest." This means that true wealth isn't measured by material possessions or status, but by the wisdom and understanding that we carry within ourselves. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we begin to see that the true meaning of life lies not in what we have accomplished or accumulated, but in how we perceive and value what we already have. Our self-worth should not be tied to external achievements, but rather to our inner peace and contentment. This shift in perspective allows us to live more freely, without the constant pressure to keep up with others. How to live without comparing yourself to others. Accept your own life. One of the most important steps in letting go of comparison is accepting your unique path. Everyone has their journey, with its challenges, opportunities, and timing. You don't need to follow anyone else's script or feel pressured to match their pace. But your life is your own, and that is something to embrace fully. There is beauty in walking your path, even if it looks different from those around you. Find joy in small things. Instead of focusing on what others have that you don't, shift your attention to the small joys in your own life. A quiet morning with a cup of coffee, a delicious meal shared with loved ones, or the simple pleasure of reading a good book. These are the moments that bring true happiness. Life is full of these small treasures, but we often overlook them when we are too busy comparing ourselves to others. Take time to savor these moments, and you'll find that they bring more contentment than any material possession ever could. Appreciate and take pride in your achievements. No matter how big or small your achievements may seem, they are the result of your own hard work, persistence, and dedication. Instead of diminishing your accomplishments by comparing them to others, take pride in what you've achieved. Be thankful for your progress, even if it doesn't seem as grand as Grandstand. Every step you've taken is value, and it's important to honor that. Limit comparisons on social networks. In today's digital age, social media can be one of the biggest contributors to feelings of inadequacy. As studies have shown that regularly viewing images of others' seemingly perfect lives on social media can lead to increased dissatisfaction with our own lives. It's important to remember that social media often presents a highly curated and edited version of reality. By reducing the time you spend scrolling through social networks, you can limit the comparisons that leave you feeling less than enough. Instead, focus on your own life, your joys, and your progress. True peace comes from within. Ultimately, true peace and happiness come not from how much we have or what we've achieved, but from how we perceive and appreciate our own lives. When we stop chasing after things that don't belong to us, we can begin to truly enjoy what we do have. The key to a happy and fulfilling life, especially in retirement, is to stop striving for more and start appreciating the present. When we learn to be content with what we have, we discover that we already have everything we need to be happy. Lastly, there is a saying that resonates deeply with this philosophy. We do not become rich by having a lot, but by needing a little when necessary. This reminds us that true wealth and fulfillment are not found in accumulating more, but in learning to be content with less. When we stop chasing after what others have, and instead focus on being grateful for our own lives, we free ourselves from the constant pressure to keep up with others. As you enter retirement, this mindset shift becomes even more important. The later years of life should not be spent in comparison but in appreciation. It's about finding peace in your journey, being grateful for the life you've lived, and embracing the years ahead with a sense of contentment. By letting go of the need to compete, you open yourself up to living a truly happy and fulfilling retirement. So, take a deep breath. Let go of those unnecessary comparisons and focus on the beauty of your own life. You've walked your unique path, and that in itself is something to be proud of. Instead of looking at what others have or where they are, appreciate where you are right now. Happiness is not found in the race to have more, but in the ability to cherish what you already have. The third crucial factor in determining the quality of life in old age is the need to foster independence in your children so that they do not become a burden. It may sound harsh, but there is a chilling saying that, while it seems like a joke, carries a grim truth. If wealthy parents ignore their children, the children will probably kill them. This idea illustrates the dangerous dynamics that can arise when money becomes the central focus of the parent-child relationship. Gradually giving children financial support can unintentionally cause them more harm than good. And even worse, if parents give all their wealth to their children, they may find themselves in a situation where they have nothing left and are financially vulnerable, potentially even facing destitution. When money becomes the primary bond between parents and children, the relationship takes on a cold, transactional quality. Instead of love, care, and mutual respect being the core of their connection, financial expectations take center stage, often with devastating consequences. The key to avoiding such a tragic outcome is for parents to set clear boundaries early on, communicating to their children that they will not be financially dependent on their parents forever. It is crucial to teach children that they must learn to stand on their own, both emotionally and financially. This is not a lack of love. In fact, it is the most profound expression of love, preparing them to thrive independently. Often, out of deep concern and love, parents try to shield their children from the hardships of life. They may do this by helping them with everything, sending them to the best schools, assisting them in purchasing a home, or saving money to ensure their children's financial security. While these gestures are made out of pure love and a desire to protect their children, this kind of overprotection can inadvertently stunt their growth. When parents are always there to solve their children's problems and to be a safety net for every difficulty, the children are deprived of the opportunity to learn resilience, face life's challenges, and develop their problem-solving skills. In the long run, such overdependence can turn love into a poison. It creates a dynamic where the children are always looking to their parents for solutions rather than forging their path. This dependence can continue into adulthood, with grown children constantly relying on their parents for both emotional and financial support. As a result, the children lose the opportunity to learn how to navigate life on their terms, and they never fully develop the ability to stand on their own feet. But what happens when the parents, after years of financial support and sacrifice, run out of money or become physically ill? What happens when the parents themselves need help? In this situation, the children may feel an overwhelming burden. Rather than a natural desire to care for aging parents, they may feel an unwanted sense of obligation. This feeling can lead to resentment and frustration. The very parents who gave everything to support their children may find themselves not only physically and financially drained, but also emotionally distanced from the children they sacrificed so much for. In the end, the relationship deteriorates, and the parents are left feeling not only financially depleted but also deprived of the love they once cherished. This is the tragedy of misplaced expectations. Parents give everything, expecting that their children will reciprocate with gratitude, love, and support. Yet, when the relationship is built on financial dependency, those expectations often lead to disappointment and heartache. The children may feel trapped by the weight of their parents' sacrifices, and instead of growing closer, the bond weakens. Khalil Gibran, the renowned philosopher and poet, once wrote, "Children are not your possession, for they are the arrows shot from the bow of life." These words carry profound wisdom. Children are not meant to be kept in the orbit of their parents' expectations. They are meant to find their way, their paths, independent of their parents. Just as arrows shot from a bow cannot be recalled, children, once grown, must be allowed to fly on their own. Parents cannot control their children's lives, nor should they try to shape every aspect of their future. The deeper meaning of Gibran's words reminds us that as much as we may want to guide, protect, and provide for our children, we must also let them go. Parents must resist the urge to give everything to solve every problem, to meet every need. Instead, parents must equip their children with the tools and confidence to navigate life's challenges on their own. This means stepping back and allowing children to make mistakes, to face difficulties, and to grow through their own experiences. When parents expect gratitude or financial reciprocity from their children, they complicate the parent-child relationship. Love becomes entangled with obligation, and both generations suffer. The children may feel burdened by the weight of expectations, while the parents, having given everything, may feel unappreciated or even abandoned when their children fail to meet those expectations. True love for one's children is not about giving them everything, but about giving them the strength to go out into the world on their terms. It's about teaching them to be self-sufficient so that when the parents are no longer able to provide, the children can stand strong. The most valuable gift a parent can give is the ability to live independently, to face life's ups and downs without relying on anyone else for their happiness or security. In the end, the relationship between parents and children should be built on love, respect, and mutual understanding, not financial transactions or expectations. As we age, it is important to foster this kind of healthy relationship by allowing our children the freedom to grow and the responsibility to care for themselves. Only then can both generations enjoy peace, fulfillment, and a deeper sense of connection that isn't clouded by the complications of money or expectations. Parents need to understand that by letting go, they are not losing their children, they are giving them the greatest gift of all: independence, strength, and the freedom to create their own lives. In turn, children who have been raised with this understanding will carry the lessons of self-reliance, gratitude, and respect throughout their lives, ensuring that the parent-child bond remains strong, not because of obligation, but because of love. How to love while letting go. 4 tips. Set limits from the beginning. One of the most important ways to love your children while letting go is to establish clear boundaries from the start. Let your children know early on that while you are there to support and guide them, your financial and emotional support has limits. For example, tell them that you will provide for their education and support them until they graduate from college or get married, but after that they need to take responsibility for their own lives. Setting these limits from the beginning not only helps your children become more self-reliant, but also prevents future misunderstandings or unrealistic expectations. It's a tough but necessary act of love, preparing them for a world where independence is key to their success and well-being. Convert assets into pensions. Instead of planning to leave homes, properties, or large sums of money to your children, consider converting your assets into pensions or other forms of stable income for your future. By doing so, you ensure financial security for yourself without needing to rely on your children for support. This not only removes the potential burden on your children, but also allows you to maintain a comfortable lifestyle throughout your retirement. With this strategy, you safeguard your well-being while allowing your children the freedom to live their own lives without any financial strings attached. It's an act of love that ensures your independence while still supporting your children's autonomy. Do not create misplaced expectations. Constant financial support can inadvertently create a sense of entitlement or responsibility in your children. When parents continuously provide help, children may come to expect it as part of their lifestyle, which can ultimately stifle their independence. Instead, offer your assistance when it's appropriate, but make it clear that it is not a given. Encourage your children to take control of their finances and lives. By doing so, you give them the space to grow into capable adults who can handle their challenges. It's crucial to find a balance between offering support and encouraging independence. This way, you help your children become self-sufficient while avoiding a dynamic where they feel obligated or dependent on your resources. Prioritize your own life. Once your children have grown up and moved into their own lives, it's time for you to shift your focus back to yourself. Your role as a parent does not end, but it evolves, and you deserve to live a fulfilling life for yourself. Take time to enjoy hobbies, travel, take care of your health, and cultivate personal interests that bring you joy. Or discover your passions and make your well-being a priority. By living for yourself and not solely for your children, you set a positive example for them to do the same in their lives. Loving your children while letting go means trusting them to thrive on their own, while you embrace the next chapter of your own life with happiness and fulfillment. Letting go of economic and emotional attachments is often misunderstood. It's not about being irresponsible or abandoning your role as a parent, but rather about protecting yourself and allowing your children the opportunity to grow. Parents naturally want to give everything to their children out of love, but if that giving never stops, parents may inadvertently become a burden to their children. This dynamic can complicate relationships, creating tension and resentment as the weight of responsibility shifts. To avoid this all-too-common scenario, letting go of your children financially and emotionally is not an act of neglect, but a profound gift of freedom and maturity. As Laozi once said, a wise person does not leave wealth to their children, but leaves them an independent future. So this speaks to a powerful truth. What parents pass down to their children should not be measured in material wealth, such as homes or land, but in the ability to live an independent life. Teaching your children to care for themselves, to stand on their own without relying on you, is the most meaningful inheritance you can offer. This is the essence of true love and wisdom, giving your children the tools to thrive on their terms, without the heavy burden of financial or emotional dependency. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In old age, the most important thing is to shift your focus from providing for your children to taking care of yourself. Parents should not feel compelled to leave behind wealth, that complicates the relationship or imposes undue responsibility on their children. If both parents and children can release each other from the burdens of expectations and economic responsibility, love and respect can flourish, untainted by the complications that arise when money is involved. A truly happy old age is one where parents let go of their expectations, offering their children the freedom to live their own lives, and in return, live their own lives as they wish, free of financial strain or fear of dependence. This brings us to the fourth important factor in determining the quality of life in old age, ensuring economic stability. As we retire, we lose the steady income from work, and we become reliant on our assets and savings to sustain our lifestyles. Many people face the temptation to hoard their wealth, thinking they must preserve it for their children, leaving behind a legacy in the form of homes, land, or money. But in doing so, they often deny themselves the opportunity to live fully in their later years. Mortgaging homes or using savings for living expenses can be a source of anxiety for some, as they watch their assets slowly diminish. However, the underlying question is this anxiety necessary? The ancient philosopher Epicurus once said, "Wealth does not come from having many possessions, but from the ability to enjoy what you have." This timeless wisdom reminds us that true wealth isn't in the accumulation of things or the preservation of assets for future generations. It lies in the ability to enjoy what you've earned and to use your resources to enrich your own life. In retirement, the goal should not be to hoard wealth for the sake of leaving something behind, but to fully embrace the present, using your resources to enhance your quality of life. After all, the money you have while you are alive holds far more value than money that sits in a will after you're gone. If you decide to spend your assets while you're still living, and perhaps even pass away with nothing left in the bank, it doesn't mean you've wasted your wealth. It means you've lived fully, using your resources for experiences, comfort, and peace of mind. Now, much like food, money is meant to be consumed, not stored away forever to decay and disuse. Assets left untouched eventually lose their value, whether through inflation or missed opportunities for enjoyment. Instead of letting your wealth sit idle, imagine it as a source of joy that can improve your quality of life, allowing you to travel, engage in activities you love, and ensure your health and well-being in old age. Many people feel guilt about spending their savings, convinced that leaving behind a house or a significant inheritance is the most loving thing they can do for their children. But this mindset overlooks a critical reality. Your financial security and happiness matter too. Your children, if raised with the right values, will respect your choice to prioritize your own needs, knowing that their inheritance is not measured by money but by the love, wisdom, and independence you've given them. In fact, by using your resources to live a vibrant and comfortable retirement, you may even be teaching your children a more valuable lesson, that life is meant to be lived, not hoarded. You show them that it's okay to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and that the most precious thing we can spend is time on meaningful experiences, time with loved ones, and time taking care of our well-being. As you transition into retirement, consider how best to use your wealth to serve you, rather than the other way around. And don't let fear of running out of money prevent you from enjoying the years you have left. If you've planned wisely, your savings and assets can provide a cushion that allows you to live comfortably without the need to hold back. You deserve to live without the constant worry of preserving wealth for the future. After all, life is not about what you leave behind, it's about how well you live with what you have right now. So embrace the freedom that comes with letting go of financial attachments. Use your assets to nurture your happiness, whether that means investing in experiences, health, or simply enjoying a lifestyle that brings you peace. Know that in doing so, you are not being selfish, you are living fully and teaching your children the value of independence and self-sufficiency. This is the legacy that truly matters, a life well lived, free from the constraints of material attachment, and full of love, joy, and meaningful connections. In the end, the most valuable lesson we can take into old age is this: use your wealth to live, not to leave. Let go of the fear that you need to preserve every penny for someone else. Instead, enjoy the fruits of your hard work, knowing that the best gift you can leave your children is not money, but an example of how to live with freedom, fulfillment, and independence. It's completely natural to worry. What if I use up all my money before I die? This concern is especially common as we enter old age, where financial uncertainty can cause stress. This is a legitimate and understandable fear, but it doesn't mean you should deprive yourself of enjoying life. The key is not to live extravagantly, but to live wisely. In Buddhism, we learn that greed is not just about wanting more, but about being ruled by our desires. When we give up the need to leave an inheritance and embrace a simpler life rooted in contentment, we often find that the resources we currently have are enough to carry us through the rest of our lives with peace and sufficiency. How to manage assets wisely. 4 tips. Convert assets into a stable cash flow. Rather than allowing your assets to sit idle, lose value, or eventually run out, it's wise to convert them into a stable monthly cash flow. This could involve making safe, low-risk investments or participating in pensions that provide a steady income. The goal is to ensure you have a reliable stream of money to cover your basic needs without worrying about the fluctuations of the market or the fear of running out. This method allows you to live comfortably, knowing that your financial situation is secure and predictable. As Lao Tzu wisely said, a wise parent does not leave wealth to their children, but leaves them independence. Rather than focusing on passing down material possessions like homes, focus on empowering your children to stand on their own feet. The greatest legacy you can leave them is not a financial inheritance, but the gift of independence, self-reliance, and wisdom. In this way, you are free to use your assets for your well-being without the burden of feeling like you must preserve wealth for future generations. Plan your expenses without overdoing it. Lao Tzu also taught that nothing is more precious than freedom, and that includes financial freedom. So don't be bound by the fear of saving every penny or being overly frugal to the point of self-denial. There is a balance between being responsible with your money and allowing yourself to enjoy the small pleasures in life. You don't need to live in luxury, but neither should you deprive yourself of simple joys by being too stingy. By spending thoughtfully and in moderation, you can experience freedom and happiness, knowing that you are both securing your future and enjoying the present. True financial planning in old age should allow for these little daily pleasures, whether it's enjoying a good meal, pursuing hobbies, or taking time to relax without the constant anxiety of hoarding your wealth for tomorrow. It's about recognizing that life is happening now, and while financial security is important, it shouldn't come at the expense of living fully. Set clear financial boundaries for your children. It's natural to want to help your children, especially when they face difficulties. However, it's important to set clear financial boundaries so that your quality of life is not compromised in the process. If you do provide financial support to your children, make sure they understand that this support is limited and won't jeopardize your ability to maintain your financial stability. Being open and honest about these limits allows your children to respect your decisions, and it teaches them the importance of managing their own lives independently. As a parent, you should use your resources to enjoy life, not let money become a source of burden or anxiety. The goal is to use your assets wisely, not to deprive yourself or create unnecessary obligations for your children. By maintaining clear boundaries, you ensure that both you and your children can live freely without the stress that money often brings into relationships. Embrace simplicity and enjoy what you have. Buddhist teachings emphasize that the path to happiness lies in contentment, not in the pursuit of more. When you accept that what you have is enough and learn to enjoy the simplicity of life, you free yourself from the endless chase for more. By embracing a minimalist lifestyle, focusing on the essentials and finding joy in everyday moments, you can stretch your resources further and live with a sense of peace. Rather than worrying about how much you have, focus on how well you are using what you have to enhance your quality of life. The fifth important factor in determining the quality of life in old age is the acceptance that it's okay not to have a large circle of friends. Many people feel the weight of loneliness as they grow older and believe that maintaining as many social connections as possible will fill the void. They seek out constant social interaction, hoping it will ease their sense of isolation. However, superficial relationships, those that lack depth and true connection, often only amplify feelings of emptiness. The more we try to fill the emotional gaps in our lives with people who aren't truly present, the greater the sense of loneliness becomes. In large social groups, where interactions are shallow or obligatory, the sense of connection we seek is often missing. Instead of feeling fulfilled, we may feel even more isolated, yearning for something deeper but unable to find it. As a result, we might keep seeking out more relationships, thinking that the sheer quantity of people in our lives will somehow make us feel whole. But this approach can leave us more disconnected than ever. Rather than focusing on the number of friends or social interactions, it's far more valuable to cultivate a few deep, meaningful relationships. These are the relationships where you feel truly seen, heard, and understood, the ones that nurture your soul and bring genuine joy. It's perfectly okay to let go of the pressure of being constantly surrounded by people. As we age, learning to be at peace with our own company can be one of the most profound and rewarding experiences. Loneliness doesn't have to be filled with others. It can be transformed into solitude, a space where we reflect, grow, and enjoy our presence. Why is it that loneliness feels so profound, even when surrounded by others? As a renowned psychologist Carl Jung once said, loneliness does not come from being alone, but from not being able to express the most important things to yourself. This statement touches the core of why so many people feel isolated, even in a crowded room or within relationships. Loneliness arises not from solitude itself, but from the inability to share your deepest thoughts and emotions, either because no one around truly understands you, or because you cannot find the words to express yourself. It's the feeling that your inner world remains unseen, unappreciated, and untouched by those around you. This inability to connect on a deep level intensifies the sense of emptiness and alienation. When we try to force relationships just to fill this void, we often end up feeling even more isolated. Shallow, superficial connections can leave us feeling more alone than if we were by ourselves, because these interactions lack the depth and understanding that we crave. The more we seek out these hollow connections, the more we may feel trapped in a vicious cycle of unfulfilling relationships, where the emptiness grows rather than diminishes. But there is another path, one that begins with accepting that being alone is okay. Facing loneliness head-on and learning to embrace it as a companion can transform the experience of solitude into one of self-discovery and growth. By spending time with yourself, you have the opportunity to truly understand who you are, what you value, and what brings meaning to your life. It's in these moments of quiet reflection that you begin to see yourself as enough, without the need for constant validation from others. As your self-esteem grows, so does your sense of independence and inner strength. There is an old saying that captures this perfectly: the person who can be alone and satisfied is the strongest. This truth is often overlooked in a world that prizes social interactions and equates being alone with loneliness. But in reality, being comfortable with solitude is a sign of maturity and emotional resilience. When you no longer depend on others to feel complete or fulfilled, you create a life built on your values and principles. So you become free to establish your way of thinking and living without being swayed by the opinions or judgments of others. Instead of feeling isolated, you find a sense of peace and contentment in your own company. Interestingly, leading a meaningful life doesn't require having a large circle of close friends. Research shows that having many deep relationships is not necessary for happiness or fulfillment. Take, for example, a woman named Suko, who lives alone after losing her husband. Despite living on her own, Suko doesn't feel lonely. She didn't try to replace her husband with deep, new friendships, but instead created a network of casual connections with various people around her. She has friendly relationships with the chef at her favorite restaurant, the trainers at her fitness club, and some former colleagues. These relationships aren't particularly intimate, but they maintain an appropriate distance, providing her with social interaction and a sense of belonging without the emotional complexity that often comes with deeper bonds. These casual relationships, sometimes referred to as weak ties, are surprisingly important, especially in old age. The sociologist Mark Granovetter introduced the concept of the strength of weak ties, explaining that these light, surface-level relationships like those with salespeople, pharmacists, or neighbors can still offer us a sense of connection, peace, and belonging. While they may not be the people you confide in deeply, they create a web of social interaction that keeps you tethered to the community. These small, everyday interactions can be immensely satisfying, providing a kind of social nourishment that makes you feel more grounded and connected to the world around you. In old age, these casual, loose connections often take on greater significance. While we might not have the energy or need for large social gatherings or deep emotional friendships, the small, daily interactions with people we see regularly become a source of joy and fulfillment. Whether it's exchanging a few kind words with the barista who makes you coffee or chatting with the staff at your local pharmacy, these moments bring a sense of routine and kindliness. They offer a kind of subtle companionship that, while not profound, is nonetheless valuable. For many people, these weak ties form a safety net in old age, helping them avoid the isolation that so many fear. When we stop expecting every relationship to be deep or life-changing, we can find fulfillment in the small, seemingly insignificant moments of connection that occur in everyday life. These simple joys, like a friendly conversation with a neighbor, a smile from a familiar face at the store, or a chat with the gardener, can be just as fulfilling as more intense relationships. Ultimately, loneliness is not something that needs to be cured by forcing deep relationships or constantly seeking out new social connections. Instead, by embracing solitude, nurturing weak ties, and focusing on self-discovery, you can lead a life that feels rich, meaningful, and fulfilling. When we stop seeing solitude as a problem to be solved, we can transform it into an opportunity for personal growth and inner peace. As Jung suggests, it's not about being alone, but about learning to express and understand your true self. When you do that, loneliness fades and you begin to realize that you are enough just as you are. How to live completely without close friends. Develop loose relationships. It's entirely possible to live a fulfilling life without close friends. And one of the key ways to do this is by developing loose relationships. These connections may not be deep or lifelong, but they provide the occasional social interaction that can be comforting without demanding too much emotional energy. You can build bonds with acquaintances, neighbors, or even fellow hobbyist people with whom you can share a conversation or two without the pressure of maintaining close ties. These lighter relationships allow you to feel part of a community without the intense demands that close friendships sometimes bring. Focus on daily activities you enjoy. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 4 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In the absence of close friendships, it becomes essential to immerse yourself in activities that bring you joy. Whether it's drawing, reading, gardening, or walking, these daily rituals can fill your days with purpose and meaning. The act of creating art, losing yourself in a book, nurturing plants, or simply walking in nature offers a sense of peace and accomplishment. There's something deeply comforting about spending time with yourself, finding solace in your own company. Over time, you may even discover that these activities not only distract you from the idea of loneliness, but also help you cultivate a deep sense of self-satisfaction and inner joy. Do not be controlled by loneliness. Loneliness can feel overwhelming, especially when you lack close companions. However, it's crucial not to let it control you. Acknowledge its presence, but don't allow it to dictate your emotions or your choices. Sometimes the fear of loneliness is more powerful than the reality of being alone. Embrace solitude as a friend rather than an enemy. With time, you may realize that being alone doesn't necessarily mean being lonely. Solitude can offer moments of deep reflection, growth, and even a sense of liberation. When you free yourself from the grip of loneliness, you open up a new world of possibilities for personal growth and emotional resilience. Accept what naturally happens. One of the most important lessons in living without close friends is to accept life as it unfolds. People come and go, relationships shift, and life changes. Instead of clinging to the idea of what should be, embrace what is. Acceptance brings a profound sense of peace. Not every life path involves being surrounded by close friends, and that's perfectly okay. Your worth isn't defined by the number of close relationships you have. Instead, focus on cultivating a meaningful relationship with yourself, accepting the flow of life, and finding contentment in the present moment. Life has a way of bringing you what you need when you least expect it, and by letting go of rigid expectations, you leave room for unexpected joy and fulfillment to enter your world. Living without close friends might seem daunting at first, but it's entirely possible to find deep fulfillment, joy, and peace by developing lighter relationships, engaging in activities you love, resisting the control of loneliness, and embracing life's natural flow. It's a journey of self-discovery, and along the way, you might just realize how much inner strength and happiness can come from within. As we come to the end of this discussion, it's clear that life in old age, just like any other stage of life, is about making mindful choices, whether it's managing your assets wisely, embracing solitude, or nurturing meaningful yet simple connections. Learning to let go of financial and emotional attachments, accepting that it's okay to be alone, and finding joy in the small moments are all keys to living a fulfilling and peaceful life. Now, we want to hear from you. What have you learned so far? Is there one thing from this video that resonates with you and that you plan to put into practice in your own life? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights might just inspire someone else. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue creating content that makes a difference. Thank you for watching.